Here's how I identify edible mushrooms.
The first thing I do is take lots of pictures of the mushrooms in their natural environment. Take a picture of what they're growing on, if they're growing in a cluster or individual, and take a picture of other mushrooms that might be growing around or different stages from early to older growth like this. When you do harvest the mushrooms, make sure to keep them separate because one variety might be poisonous or toxic and the other might not. So you don't want to group them all together, otherwise you're going to spoil the whole batch. Next, what I do is I open up the Google app, not Google Maps, the Google app. Find the image search button, and then you're going to click on that, select the image you want to search, and you can use multiple different ones of your photos. And then this is going to give you a good starting point. You can then look, and I see here this might be a Phalosia squarosa or a honey mushroom. I'm then going into ChatGPT to find out if a Phalosia squarosa is even edible or not. This will get you a great starting point. So, the question, is Phalosia squarosa edible? Let's see what it has to say. Phalosia squarosa, commonly known as the shaggy scaly cap, is generally considered inedible or even mildly toxic by many sources. While some people report consuming it without immediate adverse effects, it is known to cause GI upset in others. Well, we're also going to go to some mushroom books. Find some books from your local region and then compare. So first, I'm checking it against the honey mushroom. I do know that this grows in my area, but this has a darker orange stalk than what my book is telling me. But when I go over to the Phalosia, look at that. It looks like an identical match. Then open up your book and do some further reading. This will confirm whether or not what the AI said matches. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to get you a better start. And I always use more than one book. Now let's go on to the next mushroom. We harvested this one as well, thinking maybe it was edible. So we're going to open up our Google app and we're going to search the image we took of it. Let's see what the Google image has to say. So we're just going to swap images here and we're going to see how well Google is able to identify it. So from what I can see at quick glance, this is looking potentially like a Clitosibula. So our next step, let's find out if a Clitosibula is even edible. So again, using ChatGPT, are Clitosibula mushrooms edible? Let's see what it has to say. Mushrooms in the Clitosibula genus are generally not considered edible. While some species in this genus are not toxic, they are often described as being poor quality for consumption, with a tough or insubstantial texture. Additionally, there's limited information, so we're going to say no, but let's compare it to our book. Here it is here. That looks like an exact match yet again, Clitosibula abundus. Now, here's one, I know what it is, and I know in my region it's edible, but let's test the app on one that we know. So when I search it by image, we are getting the lobster mushroom, which is exactly what it is. I know that's what it is, but let's see what ChatGPT has to say. So we're going to search again. Is the lobster mushroom edible? Yes, lobster mushrooms are edible and highly prized. They aren't actually a direct mushroom species, but rather a parasitic fungus that colonizes certain species of mushrooms, typically Rossula or Lactarius. So there we have it. But again, we can't just trust the AI, so we're going to go into our regional specific, and I can't stress that enough, regional specific mushroom book to verify and identify. Don't solely rely on the Google app and AI, but use that as a tool to get you closer to make the identification process a lot quicker. And it's just the more double checks you got, the better. So here's a lobster mushroom. I know in my region this is edible, but just to remind you guys, you want to cut this bad boy open and it wants to be completely white on the inside. You can see some brown spotting. We got to throw those chunks away. The rest, fry them up in some oil and enjoy. So I just want to reiterate my process. First, I'm going to take pictures in their natural environment because it could be as simple as one variety growing on a stump being poisonous and one growing on the dirt being healthy and edible. So you want pictures so you know what it's growing on. Then upload the picture into Google app and see what it says it is. It's not always that simple, but it can get you pretty close. Verify with ChatGPT or another large language model whether or not what the image is saying it is edible. Then find it in your regional specific book. It's very important to search regionally specific. There's cases of, say, mushrooms over in Asia being edible and almost an exact lookalike being here. People will come over here, eat it, and guess what? It's a destroying angel, and that is a lethal mushroom. So you want to make sure you're looking regionally. A mushroom where I live might look the same as one where someone else lives, but both might not be edible. One might be, one might not be. So regional specific is important. When in doubt, ask other people. Join a Facebook foraging group, check out Reddit subforums, just Google for blogs local to your area. But using the AI tools has sped up my identification process tenfold. Both those times, those are the first times I've seen either of those mushrooms, and it was pretty well bang on, right what it thought it was. My books confirmed it, both not edible, so we didn't poison ourselves that day. And don't worry, I did say separate your mushrooms into different bags in case they are poisonous. I put them all in the same bag. I knew that lobster mushroom wasn't going to be edible. It was too squishy. So, I didn't risk poisoning myself, but I could have, if I would have put them all in the same bag, diced up that lobster mushroom, fried it up, and then got the spores from the non-edible mushrooms. So be safe out there and happy foraging.